it is Diane with Diane's BlueHeartsAndButterflies.com, and I have been seeing a lot of cards out there being made with these little spinners that have a cute, fun little spinning element on it, and it's primarily using the new Stampin' Up! Gears and Textures stamp and die bundle. I had the old Geared Up Garage that had the gears in it, so I went ahead and I took a card that was made by Cindy Brumbaugh and kind of modified it a little bit to make it what I wanted to share. And the first spinners that I got off of Amazon, they were kind of large. These wouldn't be good for using to send in the mail, but if you were going to give them to somebody, it kind of stands up a lot more, the dimensions. After making these cards, I did find some other smaller ones that are more for like the nail art, and they are a lot smaller, and so that's what I used for the class. And it has it's like a bearing inside, and there's a wider, flatter side and then a smaller side, and so you adhere these down to make the gears work. So I just wanted to kind of go through. I've been really working on using this kind of craft stash that I already have, because I have been reorganizing my craft studio, and in the process of doing everything, I'm really just trying to use up what I have. And so I've been utilizing a lot of retired product, but it just goes to show that you can use any kind of papers and stamps, and use what you have, get some new stuff, whatever, if you don't have any gears. So I used the Geared Up Garage stamp set and dies. I also had this old Pedal to the Metal, and I'm going to use the tire tread on that one. I did also have this one that had a pickup. I didn't end up using the Country Living. And then I also had this one that had some vehicles, but we didn't end up using that. I did use this stamp from Sweet Sentiments, which is very old. It says Best Guy Ever, because I am turning my cards into Father's Day cards. Now, I'm going to go over in just a moment what I used, but I wanted to kind of go through some of the product. Like I said, I kind of used the idea that Cindy Brumbaugh had, and then I kind of tweaked it. But I brought out the old stitch shapes and layering ovals to do these, and so the ones that I actually did for my class are a little bit different than the examples, because I only used these, but I went and got my layering ovals to do those. And then on one of my cards, I happen to have it's a Tim Holtz one that has some gears embossing folder. I also have a riveted metal, and I have a, diamond plate. And then I have an old Stampin' Up! One that is kind of arrows, but it kind of looks like tire tread. So I had those available in my class if anybody wanted to emboss. And then, of course, the paper, that came with the Geared Up Garage that same time, that's what we used for the kits and the cards. So let me move these off to the side and make room to bring in the card kits. So I'll kind of go over. Another thing that I used on these was some black foil that we used to have, where Stampin' Up! Used to have. I still had some left. But if you don't have that and you want that kind of look, you can take the regular cardstock, and if you have it or can get it, this Crystal Effects, you could, after you die cut it, you could use this and put all over it and let it dry, and it'll make it kind of shiny. Or you could take the die that's been cut and then put Versamark all over it, and then clear embossing powder, and then heat set it, and that will make it kind of shiny too. But I die cut a bunch of the gears from silver foil, the black foil, and then regular black cardstock. I also had some trinkets left over from when the Geared Up Garage, and so there's some wrenches and some car keys. And so I got those out to use. And then I happened to find these old ones. These were ship wheels from back when they had I think it was the Lighthouse. And I had those, and so I brought them out. I thought they kind of looked a little bit like gears that could be used. So those, you'll need to die cut whatever gears that you want. The base is a black cardstock, and it's the standard 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. And this is where I went ahead and embossed the front of the card with this gear stamp, or embossing folder, sorry. And you could stamp it, you could do whatever. I did it so that the inside is what would show the gears, because the front we're actually going to be covering with designer Sherry's paper and such. So the other things that you'll need is the layer for the inside is the standard 4.25 by 5, 4 by 5.25. And then I rounded the edges and I stamped this message on there, and that's what we're going to put on the inside of the card. For the front, there you'll take a couple of pieces of the DSP to make your pieces for the top and the bottom. And these pieces are 1 by 4. You'll need 2 of those, and you're going to put those on up here at the top and the bottom with just a slight border around it. Then you'll need, this is coordinating cardstock with this paper. This is the crushed curry. I did 3 inches by 9 inches. The card that Cindy Brumbaugh did, it was just a standard 2 by 8, I think, 2 by 8, and you scored at 4. So mine, I did 2 by 9, and I scored it at 4 and 8, because I wanted to turn mine into a little gift card holder. And then this is what's going to go on the front of the card, and then this. Now, the regular tear and tape is too big. I happen to have some smaller, real thin tear and tape that I used. You could just use some white glue to create this little pocket, but I had this little thin tear and tape, and so that's what I'm using at the top and the bottom of this little flap, this little 1-inch flap. And so you put that on there, take the backing off, and fold that over. And then just so that for the class, because I didn't have gift cards that I was putting in there, I just took a spare piece of white cardstock to put in there, and you could use this and put a message on it if you want with your gift card. This is where I stamped. Actually, I didn't use that tire tread off that one. I used an I think it was All Dressed Up. There was kind of this tread looking stuff on there, and that's what I used for making like tire tracks. So these are going to go in here. When you have embossed cardstock, it's the tape runners do not always work very well, so it is good to have or use the white glue when you are trying to adhere something onto embossed cardstock. I'm not really great with the white glue, which is why I don't use it very much, because I usually get way too much than I don't need, or it just starts coming out and doesn't want to stop. So I'm going to put this with a small border on the bottom here, and then I'm going to put this other one. I will have all my dimensions over on my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and there's links to other projects there. This particular card class that I had, I just wanted to stick with the spinner card because there was a lot of elements and putting things together. So we just had them make 2 of the spinner cards. I forgot I was going to bring over some of the other spinners to share. I will put some pictures of those on my blog, and I may run over and grab those. So you will also be die cutting some ovals. And so I used, like I said, the stitched shapes and the regular ovals. And so the stitched ovals that I used were it's actually the 3 largest is what I ended up using. So the red one on the front used the largest. The red one for the inside is the 2nd largest. And then the white one for this one on the inside is the 3rd largest. And then I took from the layering ovals. These are approximately about 3 inches by 2 1/8. And that's the green that I'm using on the front of the card because it fits right inside that red stitched oval. And then this one is 2 1/2 by 1 5/8. And it fit right in between these 2 stitched ovals. And I did that out of the Tranquil Tide, which was a coordinating color. And on one of my example cards, the dies for the Geared Up Garage do have a thing that you could cut out the card on that. The cards I'm making today, I actually used an old stamp set, that a wood one that I've had for a long time, and it's Classic Pickups, and it has several of these old trucks because the guys in my family are really into the more old type trucks. And so I used a bunch of these stamps for that. But I did use a bunch of the other stamps from the Geared Up Garage. I used the little smoke screen or smudge or whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to find it. It's here. It's this one. And I stamped that in pumpkin pie. I stamped off and then stamped on here. And then I'm going to put these ovals over the top of that. And then I stamped the truck and just fussy cut that out. And this particular card has this truck and then another card that I'm making for, because I have a son that's a dad and my husband. And then this, I went ahead and stamped with Versamark and embossed in silver the saying that says, "You pump start up my heart." And I also die cut the kind of emblem thing shape out of there, and then I'm going to put this on the inside over my little oval here. So let me get that real quick done. Get this out of the way. I also utilized some of the other stamps. There's a toolbox, the little nuts and bolts. I did those smudges again here in gray granite, and then I did the Happy Father's Day in Tranquil Tide, and then the Best Guy Ever I put on the envelope. So let me do the white glue here. I don't know if it's going to come out. It either comes out too much or not enough. Sorry. I just really fell in love with every time I find somebody making cards with the gears and how they spin. And of course it jump-started my imagination. There's some Get Well cards that I'm planning on doing. This one is not. Let me see if I can grab another one. I think there's one here behind me. But I could imagine these, I have some paper, that old retired paper that has raindrops on it, and I have the umbrella, the old retired stamp set umbrella weather or something like that, and it has umbrellas, and I'm gonna put an umbrella on a spinner, and it's gonna be, you know, I hear you're under the weather, and then it's gonna be a Get Well card. So here is where I'm gonna put this one. Just kind of get even margins here and stick that on. Now, I wanted to add some gears back behind these ovals. I am going to go ahead and adhere. Oh, and of course that was the other problem. Sometimes with the stamp and seal, it'll start running. But you know what always works is tear and tape. So I'm going to grab that. Tear and tape is a good adhesive that you can use for many versatile projects, and it is really a good one, especially if you're going to be having a lot of moving parts, because it is a stronger adhesive and doesn't come apart so easily. So let me pull these off. If you ever have a problem with getting these to come up, you can always use your bone folder to kind of burnish those to make the glue stick a little better, and then it's usually pretty easy to get those off. The other thing is, if you have take your pick tool, and of course I don't have my pointy end on it. I have this pair of tweezers though that has a pointy end, and I can just use that. I didn't change out the tip. I meant to, just forgot. And I know I'm going very fast, but I'm just kind of wanting to be able to show you the idea so that you can utilize it with whatever stamps, ink, paper that you have. But some other things that I was thinking about doing is, we have the old retired stamps of the donkeys and the sheep and the hippos, and I just think it would be so much fun to have some spinning elements there. There's the little piggies, and I thought about having something there. Another one that I have is, I have an old die, a little Sizzlet die that creates a pinwheel, and I wanted to use that to do that as well. But anyway, I have these gears, and I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to cut this one apart for the front. I'm just going to kind of cut it across here, because I'm going to be putting it behind this anyway. Hoping this will not grab the red one. If I can get that going. And then of course I went off the edge. All right, so I'm just going to kind of take this. You might want to make sure where you're going to put it, and maybe I'll go this way. Put it on that side, and then this one, I'll kind of make it go this way. Just kind of putting it back behind here. Add a little bit more. You don't want to put a whole lot of dimension on the card, because it's already going to have so much dimension, and you don't want to raise anything up that's going to interfere with your spinning gears either. So I'm going to do that, and then they've got these ones here, I think. And you can use glue dots as well. I meant to pull these little centers out, and I didn't get that done yet. So another great tip that somebody had shared once before is, in order to get these little bits and pieces out of these intricate dies, is you can use a lint roller, and that does pull that stuff out. And so in my studio, I keep those right by my die cutting machines. Oh, these are stuck onto here. Let me get these glue dots, and I'm just gonna add a few. It's a little bit cold today. It's the main reason that you don't plant your garden in Nevada until after Mother's Day. And it is after Mother's Day, but it actually was trying to snow today. We had a little cold snap coming through. So it's a good thing I haven't gotten my garden in yet. So I'm going to put this one, I think, right here, because I'm then going to take the gear that I'm going to put on the front that's going to spin. I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add this one behind that, so that it kind of gives it something to look at behind the gear. And so I'm going to stick those two together. That's the one problem with these, you can't see the back side to make sure you're getting it even. There we go. So they've got that. Now, one of the people that I saw, they suggested using the white glue to adhere this, and you have to let it sit for a little while to stick on there. Before I do that, since I'm going to have to let that sit a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put this one on the inside of the card. And like I said, I'm making one for my husband and then one for my son. It's his first Father's Day. He just had a little baby. She's 5 months old now. So now that that's ready, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, no, I'm going to have to do the inside too. But I want to get this thing done and put on here. So I think I'm going to put the spinning gear this time up over here. So let me just put a daub of white glue there. And they were suggesting putting the flat part down first and then let that sit and dry. And while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and adhere these for the inside together. And in the class, I made it where they could stamp a message on here, and then it's always best to stamp and then die cut. So even if you were doing the car, like I did on, where's my example? Oh, it's off to the side here. So on this example, you need to stamp the car and then die cut it out. That way it's easier to do. Otherwise, the only other way to really do that is to make a kind of a template and then set it up on one of, I can't remember what it's called now. It's like the stamping placement tool, and then you could kind of get it where it needs to be on the little blank. But I just suggest going ahead and stamping the image and then die cutting it out. Now the ones on the inside, you definitely don't want to have any dimensionals on it, because it's already going to be having dimension on the front. And so let me just put a little bit of glue on this. And I'm just going to, I'll better put this on first. Now this one, I think I'm going to use the white glue, the Tombow. You can use whatever you want. I'm just going to put a little bit right in here, because I want to put this one down first to get it where I want it, and then I can put this little one in the middle because it fits right in the center of that. Okay, now this piece is ready to go on the inside, but I want to also have this one for going behind that. This one I'm going to be a little bit more picky and kind of cut it apart into pieces here, because I want it to, and this one can extend out a little further if you want, or it doesn't have to. I think on this one I'm going to use some glue dots to put it on the inside. It doesn't matter if they stick through or come through, because you're going to be putting the labels on top of it anyway. It's a little cold, so these glue dots are not wanting to adhere. Need some body heat to stick. Come on. All right, so I'm going to put this just kind of off into here. I'm pretty sure that will still show pretty good. And then this other one, put some, I think I'm going to put it up here. I think I got off camera there. And then, oh, do maybe a couple of them on this one. You don't have to have a whole lot, because you are going to be putting the labels on top of these. All right. And then this one, actually it goes this way because the cut pieces are up here. So I'm going to do that this way. And I have a few others that I could stick in here as well, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on top. And adhere this in here. And then for the front, I do want to pop the car up with dimensionals, or the truck, I mean. This one's the one for my husband. I can't tell for his Father's Day because you jumpstart my heart is for him. So, but he likes, actually loves these old trucks. He would love to rebuild one day. And then get these backings off. Some people can take the piercing tool on the take your pick tool and get them off, but I haven't had much success in doing that. So I am going to put this kind of right in here. And then I'm going to add this gear. I think I'm going to try doing it with a glue dot because I want to try to get it in the center. Glue dot. There's one. Trying to find the center there. And then get that lined up. I may need to pick it up so that I can see where that glue dot is. And then get that on the top of that little bearing. Oh, and of course, it's probably not. All right, gonna go with the white glue. This one's just not sticking because I think it's too cold. So we'll just do some white glue. You just have to make sure that you let it sit to dry. Trying to make sure I get that centered though. Otherwise it kind of spins a little funny. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna pause just a moment and I'm gonna grab those other cards that I made so I can show other ideas. So maybe it'll get your creative juices going. Just a moment. Okay, I am back. So graduation is coming up soon, and I saw this kind of that floating technique card, and I was doing it for our some graduates that I know, and I'm using the new graduation stamp set that the Stampin' Up! Has, but I kind of put the mortar board, popped it up on a circle, and I did use the larger ones when I was making my things, but I just thought it was so fun to use these the mortarboard hat or cap and the hands, making it like they're throwing it up in the air. So that one is one, and then another one is I have a lot of golfers in my group that like golf, and I wanted to make a card that was a fun fold and also that incorporated this. I didn't have a golf ball stamp. I had some paper that I had got, somebody had given me that had the golf motif stuff on it. So I just basically took a circle punch and then I embossed it with some dots that I had. And then the T I actually made with the old punch that it went with a set that it did a tree or a cupcake. And I cut some of the limbs off of that tree trunk and made it look like a T. And then this grass I got out of an old fishing bundle that we had before. And then this, it folds in. It has a piece that folds in, and it has this little piece that holds it. And then I just kind of did more of a little fun fold type card for that. And I'm going to have pictures on the website for these, and I'll try to write down the measurements as well on that. So now that we have this, I think it's hitting somewhere. Where is it hitting? Oh, the glue, I think, got up under. That was it. All right, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try a mini dimensional underneath here. I think it will fit. If I didn't have those labels on there, I think it would have been fine, but it was kind of at an angle because of that. So I'm going to put a little mini dimensional underneath it, just to kind of raise it up. And I'll probably move it a little bit to a different place. Probably put it down here, because I could put something else up there. And then, oh, I think I got glue. Where did I get glue? I think I glued it shut. Hold on. Let me just get this other one that I have out here. That's, I guess, a problem is if you're using the white glue, don't make sure it doesn't get in where the spinning mechanism, where the bearing is, because I think that's what I ended up doing, is getting some glue there. Try this again. Oi! It doesn't work when you're trying to do a video. It works fine when you're not, but when you're trying to do something, all right. Leave it on the table. Okay. Got that there. Peel that backing. I'm going to put it right here. Now, I'm going to try another, no, I was going to do the glue dot, but it's just so cold, I don't think it's going to work. See if I can put this on top. Oh, there it goes. All right. Yeah, I think I got glue down in the bearing on that last one. Okay, I'm going to have to take both of them off. Both of the backings off and then stick it down, because I ended up pulling it off. Maybe if it wasn't so cold here, it would be fine, because the my class that I had yesterday, it went fine and it was warmer. So let me put this on here. And then it just spins, and it is so cool. And I'm going to add some more of these gears around just to give it a really cool look. Oh, these pieces are falling out. Take them out. I got a bunch of them out for the class, but then I just started trying to get things cut and done for it that I ended up not taking all the pieces out. All right, so this one I'm going to put up over here. And then I've got some that are I think I'm going to do this one. I do want to get that wrench on here too, that I had, the little embellishment piece. Put this one there. So let me get this. My husband is a mechanic, and so I'm using the wrench on there. Oh, there we go. I think I'll put that one right here. I think that's enough. So just put those off to the side and kind of show you this again. So it opens up here. Oh, that one did not. Oh, I thought I had the glue dot. Apparently I didn't. A little more body heat there. I think maybe I'll put that this way, up under there. So you got that one. Then this opens, you have a place for a gift card, and then your message here, and then it opens again for another message. And that's what we were doing for the class. And that's the primary card. I will put the measurements over on the blog for everything. And I hope that you will share my video, and if you like it, click the like button. You can follow me. Also, if you want product that you don't have, it won't be these particular ones because these are retired, but they do have the new gears and textures that has a bunch of textures and gears and different background type stamps and things that is really cool. And the other stamp sets that you could use this technique for, the little bearings, though, you'll have to get off of Amazon or somewhere else. and I will put a link over on my blog post for this one, as well as the larger ones, which I set off to the side. So there was these that I used like on this card that were bigger, and then there's the little ones that we use. These do spin a lot better than these, but these are really cool. I'm actually thinking of using these with the umbrella, because I'm also thinking about putting a cloud and then putting a hole through it so that this goes through that, and so I'd have multiple layers with the clouds behind it, as well as the umbrella that would spin. I appreciate you spending your time with me. If you want anything and you want to shop at my store, I appreciate it. But I very much appreciate the time you spend with me and checking out the other projects I have on my blog. And thank you. I'll talk to you later.